Hello and welcome back or welcome to my channel. My name is Tori and today I have a reading update. Today we are going to talk about all the books I have read so far this year. So this will be a long one, so grab a snack, grab a drink, and let's just jump into it. My Goodreads goal for this year is 30 books. That includes digital and physical. So technically I have to read 3 books a month? Technically. About. So far, as of this moment, when I'm filming this, June 25th, I am at 15 out of 30 books read. Out of those 15, 6 have been physical and the rest have been digital. So let's jump into it from the top. I did get a Amazon tablet for Christmas this past year. I just use it to read pretty much. So with that, I was gifted a Kindle Unlimited subscription. The first book I read was I Want to Break Off the Engagement. So I'll play The Villainess by Iro Horia, which is a graphic novel, not graphic novel, what's it called? I mean, it could be called a graphic novel, but it was a manga or a manhwa. I read that on January 6, 2025 and finished it January 6, 2025. I rated it 3 stars. For me, a 3-star pretty much means it was good. That was pretty much it. I should also say for the rest of my rankings, a 4-star pretty much means it was close to being a fave. It was just missing something. Whether I had a little nitpick with a character, with a plot point, but if I rate something 4 stars, I am more than likely to continue the series. If it is a 5-star, that means I really enjoyed it. So I had to check all my boxes, hit me emotionally, or make me think about something. On the flip side, if it's a 1-star, that means I hated it or I did not finish it. And if it's a 2-star, that means I'm not picking the series back up. This was the nail in the coffin. So the second book I read was volume 2 for the 7th time loop. The villainess enjoys a carefree life married to her worst enemy. I started reading this November 5th, 2024, and I finished it January 22nd, 2025, and I rated this a 4-star. I really do like this series. I'm pretty sure, let's see. This is one of the series that got turned into a anime. I think now, yeah, volume 2 has me officially caught up with the anime. So I need to read volume 3 and volume 4 before the anime come out, because that's how I like to do things. I like to read it first and then see if it lives up to how good the OG was. Yeah, I really enjoy this series. It's really sweet. If you haven't watched my reading videos before, I am a giant sucker for isekais, which just means either that person has lived that life twice, and this is their 2nd time, or in her case, it's her 7th time. Or I like isekais where the person has died in more likely than not Korea, and then is placed in a magical world, but has all the memories of being in modern society and using that to their benefit. I love redemption stories, and isekais feel like redemption stories with a twist. And more times than not, they're romances too. So, love that for me. The next story I read was How I Swapped Places with the Villainess and Beat Up Her Fiance and Found True Love. This was volume 1. I read this February 3rd, 2025 and finished it February 9th, 2025. I rated it 4 stars. I have the second volume sample saved. I'm not too sure if I want to get the second one. I really don't want to spend too much money on here unless I have something gifted or a gift card. So we'll see if I ever read volume 2. But overall, did really enjoy it. These next 3 I read were small but quirky and a little cute. And the title is I'm Only a Substitute Consort, but the Emperor Won't Leave Me Alone, Volume 1. I read Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. I started them on February 16th, 2025, and finished them all on February 16th, 2025. The first volume I rated 4 stars. It was good, but it didn't fully... I mean, it kind of sucked me in to some degree. But I'm just so obsessed with ancient Japan and ancient China. The whole idea of emperors and consorts is like kind of funny to me. And I just love learning about that. But the second and the third volume, I did rate 5 stars. I really liked how they ended up making everything work out. And it was very quirky and like a cute romance, a cute, funny romance. These ones, however, these next 2, I thought, as you could see, a lot of them recently have been like villainous or like substitute, right? So these 2 are the Takamiya Family and False Fiancé. I read Volume 1 and Volume 2. Both free on Kindle Unlimited. I started them both on March 20th and ended them both on March 20th. Volume 1 I gave 3 stars, so okay, you know, I'll try the second one. The second one I gave 2 stars. Obviously, as we know, I don't give too much of like spoilers or that. But this one had Lolita vibes. Especially during the volume 2, and it was giving pedophile. Yeah. Nah, we're past that. Knock it off. I get that for some sick reason. It is a hopefully dying trope of a lot of writers use in Japan. But oh my god, it sucks. And it's weird. So I was shocked to see it, really, because it's, like I said, it is a dying trope. When you go back to a lot of manga or animes from the early 2000s all the way up to pretty much the creation of manga, yeah, there was a lot of tropes. One of my favorites growing up, without fully, you know, realizing it and brain fully forming, was a main character that was 14 dating a 21-year-old. The author tried to redeem himself and had the characters be rebirths to 14 and 16. But yeah, don't really recommend unless that's your vibes. And if that's your vibes, I'm a little concerned for you, bestie. Only appropriate age gaps over here. This next one was just, I needed something goofy. Because this day I was on a reading kick. So the next book I read was Shotgun Divorce. I'll get pregnant and out of your life as soon as possible. This is volume 1. It's by Akira Kanabe and Yuki Nagago. I rated it 3 stars. I finished it. I started it on March 20th and finished it on March 20th. The whole premise of that one is it's arranged marriage, and in that fantasy society, they all have magical powers, and the female protagonist is a healer, and the male protagonist, I forget if he's like a fighter or a nature, whatever. They're both rare. So they get put in an arranged marriage, which she thinks is 100% arranged, has no idea that he does like her for who she is. So like the title says, her whole thing is like, I'll give you a kid and then I'm out. So it's very funny, very quirky. You know, it's another one of those where the male protagonist has a hard time confessing their feelings, which is sometimes irritating, but sometimes can be cutesy. Then, oh, I forgot. I went a little bit out of order, but we'll go back to it because my notes were also out of order, but that's okay. The next book I read was Didn't You Say You Hate Me? The Troubled Dawning Marriage, Life of a Strange Duke by Senju Kiyatsu and Nakami Sashimi. So, I also read this on March 20th, 2025 and finished it on March 20th, 2025. I rated it 3 stars. This, on the other side, on the flip side of the book I was just talking about, it was one of those, once again, where the male protagonist could not comprehend how to confess their feelings. However, this one was really drawn on, and there was a lot of, like, just straight up bullying of the male character, kind of like bullying the female character. So, like, some parts it was good, and it was like, yeah, this is gonna work. And then it was just like, why'd you open your mouth? You know? Why'd you wreck it? So I don't think I'll continue this series. I don't think it was bad. It was just not for me. But I forgot one from beginning of March. In the beginning of March, I read The Villainess Turns the Hourglass. This is a graphic novel. I think I ended up getting this on Pongo Books. Someone had it heavily on sale. It retails for $20. I think they were only selling it for $10. And for how high quality these are, gladly. And I think I sold a book and just used the money from that. So I started it March 1st. I finished it March 1st of 2025, and I rated it 4 stars. This is one that I saw on my reading apps, but never read on my reading apps. I should also mention, because I feel like I've never mentioned it, I have one primarily like webtoon webcomic app called Meta, and I pay for that subscription. The only reason I don't include really those books on here is I feel like it's so confusing, because a lot of them are currently, you know, I'm reading about 20 series at once on there. My Goodreads would be flooded, and I don't want to deal with it. like that's the honest truth. I don't want to be bothered. However, if we ever wanted to, like, what's a good example? This is a good example. Like, Villains Are Destined to Die. This is one of my favorite webcomics, and then it got published. So obviously I'll talk about it now because it's literally published and I have it physically in front of me. But some of them, man, that it would be a lot. It literally would be a lot. I'll read anything that's free and sounds kind of interesting on that app, or at least free to me because of my subscription. Next, I read 2 mangas. So the first one I read was Snow White with the Red Hair. This is volume 8. This is one of my continuing series. I started this on March 31st and finished it on April 4th, and I rated it 4 stars. Like I keep saying, this manga was made into an anime and sadly was stopped after season 2. We have no idea if season 3 is ever coming, and these are all new content to me. So stuff I had no idea about, not really, you know, nothing at the anime hinted at it. So it's been really exciting. Because it was so exciting, I ended up reading volume 9 as well. I started volume 9 on April 5th and I finished it on April 15th, and I ranked it 5 stars. this was such a good... There was a crisis in the episode, oh my god, in this volume, and how Shiryuki solved it with the help of, oh my gosh, what's his name? Why am I blanking? Ryu. How these two solved it, incredible. And yeah, it was very action-packed because a lot of people were falling sick, and these two are both herbalists or apothecaries, whatever you want to call it, and how they realized everyone was getting sick was just, like, I love reading about smart people. I want to be smart. This next one. So, I think I wrote a review for this one. So, another thing about me, if you don't already know, I will actively update my Goodreads, so you can always see that, and that is linked down below. However, when it comes to Goodreads, I don't tend to write physical reviews. If I enjoyed it and don't have any strong opinions about it, I tend to not say anything because I don't know what to say. This one had me saying some things. So, this is The Spring Duchess by Gillian Eaton. I had read what was the first one? I read it last year. Where's my thing? I read The Winter Duchess last year, towards the end of last year. So, it wasn't fully fresh in my mind, but I kind of still remembered bits and pieces. I started reading this on March 1st, 2025, and I finished this on May 18th, 2025. I have the 4th book to this series. The only book I'm missing is the 3rd book. I do not know if I want to get the 3rd book. They technically should not all relate, because it's all different duchesses and dukes. It's, I ended up rating this book 3 stars. My issue was, right, I felt that while the duchesses were different, they started feeling similar. And while the dukes were supposed to be different, they started feeling similar. So Derek was the duke from this novel, and Eric was the duke from the 1st book in the series. And how they both approached their duchesses of arranged marriage felt the same. Like, they both just hated them and then didn't have the kahunas to say why, or talk about why they had beef. Instead, they would just get violent. Like, not physically, but verbally. And at points, it literally felt like I was rereading the same story. And then the ending, rushed. Because it felt like the conflict between Eleanor is the Duchess in this book, right? So it felt like the conflict between Eleanor and Derek just went on too long. Like, there's 2 chapters left in the book. Why are y'all still beefing? And then it was like, because they're supposed to be spicy. Where is it? Where is it? Because when you wrote spice, it was like 2 paragraphs. And very tame. And I get being tame. I get alluding at stuff. Love when you allude at stuff. You didn't allude to nothing. So, I don't know if I want to reread that story. I didn't hate it. It was still very well written. But I felt like if I read it without reading The Winter Duchess, I would have liked it more. But since I have almost all of them, now I'm like, this author has a type. Which is fine, I get it. But I don't have a type. I like reading diverse things. So, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Like I said, not technically a bad book. If you're into that, it would be great. But for me, like that's why it's at 3. Because I don't hate it. I really liked Eleanor as a character. Derek was just not my type. So. And the last book I've read so far is The Cursed Princess Club by Lamcat. This is volume 1. This is one of the books I talked about in my last book haul I did, where I got for like either $1 or $2. I started reading this on June 23rd, 2025, and I finished it on June 23rd, 2025, and I rated it 4 stars. This is very quirky. What did I write in my thing? I wrote, I bought it on a whim. I am pleasantly surprised. This webcomic is very cute. It's described as a humorous webcomic, and I do agree. I do feel, however, that it is intended for a younger audience than my 25-year-old self. However, if I were to find volume 2 in the wild, I would buy it without a second thought. It's cute. It's very cute, very whimsical. These 3 are all princess sisters. Little Gwen over here, everyone thinks she looks like a witch. Is she actually cursed by a fairy tale? Yet to find out. The first one has an affinity to animals. This one has an affinity to flowers. Possums like her. Is that necessarily a curse that possums like her? Whatever, right? So yeah, if I were to find it again, I definitely would buy volume 2 and read it. It was very cute. But if I also never run into it, that's okay. But yeah, wasn't too bad. So since we talked about everything that I'm reading, everything that I have read, I will talk about the current update of everything I am reading. So, how many books do I got on my TBR at the moment? I technically have read more books than 15. However, I do not want to count these. And I know some of you might be like, girl, just count them. I don't want to. I have reread all of the Villains Are Destined to Die collection. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. I have reread all of these. I reread them in the beginning of June. I don't want to include them. I already read them. And I kind of want to do it on purpose so I continue to read other stuff instead of just picking these back up. So while I'm technically should be at 19 out of 30, I want to force myself to read other stuff in my collection. So I get why some of you might be annoyed. Like, head smack, girl, you read it. Give yourself credit. I don't want to. I don't want to. I want to be a PIA. So now we are going to talk about everything that is currently on my TBR. It is still 10 books because your girl does still have a problem. We're going to talk about the boring ones first that have been sitting on my TBR for literal years. Lolita's still on here. Lolita's currently at page 230 out of 368. I am 63% done the book. Will this be the summer I read it? Hopefully. Something. Next, I have The House by Christina Lauren. I'm on page 26 out of 384. I just haven't been wanting a horror at the moment, so I have not repicked it up. And Twitter and Tear Gas. This I really do want to read. I literally have only read the prologue, so I technically haven't started the book. But those 3 have just been chilling. This book is almost done. I was trying to finish this when I was at the beach the other day, but it was way too hot, so we ended up leaving. So I was not able to finish this. This is Though I Am an Inept Villainess, the tale of Butterfly Rat Body Swap and the Maiden Court. This is volume 1. This is also getting turned into an anime. So I kind of need to read it. I'm currently at page 180 out of 272. So I'm 66% done the book. It is a really good book. Actually, I might bring it to work with me today. But yeah, I forgot. My fault, OG. Next, this one, yeah, I'm only on page 30. Actually, that looks farther than 30. I'm on page 64. I did not update my Goodreads. This is a volume 2 of If the Villainess and Villain Met and Fall in Love. She was all but disowned for her spirit contract, but she's still competing with her rival. I really like this. This is a really cute one. I also hope eventually one day they make this one into an anime, because I think it would be done really well. But only time will tell with that. But that one's really cute. I really like that one. Next, I do have volume 10 of Snow White with the Red Hair. I'm on page 29 out of 129. I just wanted to purposely put it down and read more actual physical novels. So that's the only reason I stopped touching that. I have 2 web stories I was reading online and then forgot about. The story Villains Are Destined to Die. The original name of the story is Death is the Only Ending for the Villainess. I was reading the actual, first translation of the light novel online. I was about 30% done it, and then I forgot about it. Along with How to Get My Husband on My Side, volume 1. I'm currently 35% done that one. Same story as the other light novel. This was before I had a Kindle. And I was just reading it online. However, with my Kindle, there are 2 books that I'm almost done that I have sadly forgot about, because the one literally says 98% done. And that is The Condemned Villainess Goes Back in Time and Aims to Become the Ultimate Villain. I'm at page, I think that's a lie. What page am I at? Ooh. I'm on page 341 out of 352. So that one's nice. I really enjoyed that one. This one I need to actually pick up and finish reading, because I already have the second book. This one is A Young Lady Finds Her True Calling, Living with the Enemy, volume 1. I am 61% done the book. I'm at page 154 out of 253. So that one I really want to finish, because I already have the second book, so I need to read it. But that is my current TBR. That's my currently reading, I should say. My current TBR, my monstrous number, is down to 95. So not the best, not the worst. Worried about it. There are 3 books I have in the wings. This is one of my newest one. It's called Treading Water by Sydney Hanley. My best friend's friends with the person that wrote and published this book. So I wanted to read it and give it a review on Goodreads to help out. So game plan is to read that book soon. I also have pulled out, oh my gosh, everything's dusty. Undercover Princess by Connie Gwynn. I really want to finish that and, start it and finish it. And then finally, Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. This has been on my TBR for a long time. My ex, 2 exes ago, 3 exes ago, really, bought me that book. It needs to be read. So, this is my current game plan. Yeah, I would like to start monthly updates, but I think that's very unrealistic. So hopefully maybe some bi-monthly updates, or worst comes to worst, I'll just do quarterly stuff when it comes to books, till I can get a permanent schedule and permanent situation. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. And I hope you have amazing day or night whenever you are watching this. Bye.